Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear us. Let me know. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear us. I can hear me, so I think they can hear me.
Oh God, no one's typing.
Ah,
Oh, okay. Thank you,
anxiety.
Lanuba.
Also, we have a lot of first-time chatters, actually. Really exciting. Welcome to the
Yeah,
chat.
right.
Just Laylee. Also, Desnorix. Lelybean TV. Pizza Panda Live. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the resub. Morning Darkness. Hey, Don.
Dicey Wolf, welcome. So many familiar faces.
Love that.
And such punctual people. My God.
Nico. Hello from Brazil. So,
Oh, welcome. That's awesome.
Sokol Denescal. Welcome,
Wow, a lot
Ashley.
of new people.
Ashleana. Sorry, I'm butchering these today. I'm so sorry. My reading brain is not activated yet. Did everyone have a good New Year? Happy holiday? If you did anything super fun, tell us in the side chat.
Oh, thank you, Sweetie Pie, for the sub. What did you do, Steph, for your holiday?
I went back to my hometown. I don't live where my parents live, so I went back to visit my parents. And we stayed at their house for a bit. We took a day trip to New Orleans, which was really fun. But mostly we just hung out and cooked food and chilled. And it was really fun, just like family time. What about you, Michael?
I have a newborn. So it was more logistically complicated for me to visit my parents, but I did. I live up in Northern California. We're in LA. So it was an action-packed drive, um, full of stuff, but it was very cute. My baby did very well, and my grandparents were so freaking happy to see their grandchild. It was very cute, and I felt like I was a good son. No, lot of cute pics. Actually got to sleep a little bit, which was nice. Still pretty busy, but in a happy way. Thank you guys.
Now, Peter was just saying, he's like, man, it sucks to like have to like get like both wake up but then actually go to work and then come back, and then now I'm tired versus like during the holiday we were just like loafing, you know? So it's like sleep in, wake up, have nothing really specific to do, feel like not tired at all, basically, which is really amazing. I feel like very rare, honestly.
That is crazy. I had like 1 or 2 days that were like that.
Well, that makes sense. You have extenuating circumstances.
Mm. You got pets,
Yeah,
right
but
right
they're a little more
now.
flexible.
Right now, this is the most similar, I think. I've got like, pee pads and stuff. uh
Yeah,
yeah, I
good
got a little time to
good
recharge.
recharge.
Yeah, much needed after a very busy last year.
Yes, and then speaking of, so today we're going to be going through some contest results, some of the stuff that came up at the end of the year, just with the patch and news and updates, and then we'll be talking about a little bit of what's coming down the pipe and what stage the team is in now in terms of like planning and other things. So that's what we'll be covering today. Michael, you want to kick us off? I'm gonna follow you on the
Yes.
board.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Um, I don't have any, fancy stats to share. I guess I'll start over here actually.
You have a little bit of stats.
Um, but December we had a very large update that you guys are all already aware of. We put the game on sale for the biggest sale it's ever been. And we were just kind of crossing our fingers that people would find the game. We weren't totally crossing our fingers. We were also doing Lurky campaign, and so many of you guys are actually in the creator program, and we ran some ads. So it was a bunch of work. Thank you, Sarah Barra. Oh hey, oh my gosh, I was just watching your clip last night. Um, but we were like, dude, every game on Steam is gonna be on sale in the same window that we are. I hope that we actually punch through and some new people find our game. Some people who were played before even know we did this update. Like, there's a lot of things like that that, I think was easier to take for granted before we had this live game, you know? But fortunately, we actually saw a lot of play over the weekend, which was not the weekend, over the winter sale, which was awesome. We saw a lot of new streams pop up. We're seeing people stream for a really long time, which we're taking as a good sign that people are actually enjoying it. But yeah, we had like 1,700 new streams. We had a bunch of new videos pop up, and a lot of them like quite continuously throughout the break over the holidays of people just finding the game as they were going, finding time to stream. A lot of people I know had a very crowded streaming schedule. You guys are kind of working overtime. Um, but it's really cool to see these like new folks finding the game and so many familiar faces coming back and playing some more. Especially because some of our updates, like we had to make a choice between a biome, which sort of extends the game for everybody, versus some of these systems changes that sort of hopefully improve the game as a whole, but aren't as clear as a like. And now there's more stuff to do. So that was really cool. And yeah, just seeing so much fresh dialogue and fresh like feedback coming in, which has been sort of consuming us over the last couple of weeks because we've been digging through like hundreds of new reviews, hundreds and hundreds of new survey responses, lots of new messages in Discord, and it's giving us a fresh pulse of like what we need to work on next. So that's something that Steph's going to be talking about quite a bit. Oh my God, Morning Darkness and Sweetie Pie just making it rain over here. Uh, I'm making copies of Voyagers rain on people. Bit Black Widow, welcome, first time chatter. Um, no, really, really awesome to hear that people have been enjoying watching the Voyagers content. There's some things that were like, especially in September, watching people build on the boat and then leave it all behind as soon as they sailed away bugged the crap out of us. So now being able to lean into the opposite of that and actually letting people deck out their boats and stuff like that was really fun to watch people build some really interesting things. Speaking of which, we had a little contest near the start of stream that was about building a new dope boat. And I have some of the entries here just to share with you all because it was in a little corner of our Discord. I want to make sure people can see them all because they're really cool. Let's see, I have to wait a second for stream to see if I zoomed in enough. Okay, one more.
Yeah, I was like, I'd zoom in a
Um,
little bit more.
yeah, smidge more, smidge more. Enhance, enhance.
Maybe it
Okay,
doesn't.
okay, there we go,
Oh,
there. Yeah.
little
It's
lag,
just
little
a
lag.
little lag, little lag. Incendiary with Yin Yang Sail. A couple of free floating trees off of the side. um, hi, Mara. Um, uh, seeing some of these like floating objects has been pretty fun. Like we knew people were totally gonna use it this way, but it's cool to see some of the negative space. I think I've seen some
Mm-hmm.
other streams where they didn't put into the contest where people were also doing some really crazy stuff with like floating second floors and things like that.
Oh, cool.
Um, Midnight Aether with red sails. Get the name. Maybe closer to like a pirate galleon of some of our options, which is really cool. I mean, very much how we intended this sort of second deck, which is much more boaty. But even just having any verticality, I feel like was a big change from how our boats used to look. And so we were really excited when we got some of those pieces in the game. Our own Sweetie Pie, who is currently in this chat with our yacht. I don't know if that was the name or if you were just calling it our yacht, but you know. Also, thank you for monetizing with the additional founders pack. I see a telltale sign of that with the sale. So thank you. Um, did Mara change her name? Mara the Geek
Yes,
Winterhide?
I think that's new.
Very cool boat. Great use of these sails. Um, yeah, wow, a gift sub going on. You got a fan. Another yacht, Mythical Sushi with yacht in a lake. Apparently, this glitched somehow and was semi-submerged. So Mythical Sushi decided just to turn it into like a wet dock room.
I felt
Oh,
so bad when that thread got
but it's
posted, but it is
it's
cool.
real cool. It's real cool.
Hardship
It's
sparks innovation.
yeah, yeah. If I ever won the lottery, would I want to have a room like this? Yes, absolutely. Um,
Oh, also
got this one
mythical
here.
sushi. If you're in chat, I did promise you I would delete this boat and give it back to you, so I'll message you about that.
Oh my
I'm
god,
gonna fix
you're
their file
going into
for them.
individual saves, Steph.
Only
That's
sometimes.
that's
Only
not
for really nice
sustainable.
people.
That's not sustainable. Um, a certain doom with Wave Dancer. Uh, the the trio deck setup and multiple sales. Also, I noticed. I think the screenshot was taken at a really specific moment where the mantas were just starting to appear or just starting to fade away. It's kind of interesting.
I was like, or
Um,
those might be the plushy ones. I think actually,
oh, they just added a bunch of plush.
I think they're the plushy ones.
Should have seen that coming. Um, Sky Games, welcome. Another first time chatter from Brazil. Really cool. Uh, Mythical Sushi had to then try again with the
I
SS
love this
Torterra,
one.
which I thought was so cool. Um, Great use of the foliage and with the salt lamp in the eye. Like, I mean, I thought of Indiana Jones when I saw that, but it's really, really cool. Very pretty. And then the sunset pick. Um, this one was too tempting to show the eye really front and center. So I think in the channel you can see some with other angles. Um, okay. Now I'm not totally sure if the winner's already been announced, but if it's not, then I will go and uh, uh, handle that. But out of fear of redundancy, I'm just going to say thank you all for the entries. And let me hand it over to you, Steph, to talk about all of the feedback trends and things we were seeing over the holidays.
Awesome. And then yeah, for the winner, yeah, we'll definitely be in touch, and then we'll probably post you in the announcements channel just to give you a little bit of fanfare. But yeah, awesome. So into your patch. So like we said, the kind of really big patch, our first like really big content patch, for the lifetime of the game so far, which is really exciting. We were working on this pretty hard for a while. And we had some really big changes coming in, like building on the boats, which is like a totally new thing that we didn't even think we were able to do, at the offset of the project. The overhaul of spirit companions and their skill trees and the kind of like replacement of the old stat system, and finally like fulfilling some like long-term player progression, and a bunch of other changes that were in there, like offline mode, Steam Cloud saves, tons and tons of quality of life and bug fixes. So it was a really, really big patch. And like you can imagine, every time there's a big patch, there's always some new exciting issues that we didn't know were there that make themselves apparent. So it was a little bit of a rough and ready, I think, in some areas. I think overall, especially at the beginning of the patch cycle, it was pretty stable. There's definitely some bugs and some issues with some of the new content, definitely some performance issues that are starting to like rear their ugly head. But we also were plagued with Epic outages and Steam outages and a bunch of other things that happened during the holiday that made it really, really rough. A lot of games were having issues too, not just us, but it was very not fun to be in that bucket of games having live service issues. But so we learned a lot during this window, and there's a bunch of other things too that we will want to improve, and feedback we want to act on, and I'll talk a little bit about some of that. But there were some really big, obvious topics that kind of came up that were really apparent during this. So performance issues, definitely, it seems like we've taken an unexpected turn down there, which is unfortunate. Some of it is probably related to the amount of boats on the servers. We did know that the new boats cost more than the old boats did. The old boats were just like a fixed cost, but now that people can build on them and they move, they are just a little more expensive than we thought. So we're definitely collecting as much data as we can about that, and we are trying really hard to push some fixes into even the most upcoming patch to see if we can get that a little bit more manageable. So definitely there's some big performance issues emerging that weren't there before, hopefully due to the boats, but I think due to other factors too that we're still investigating.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
see a couple people in the side chat talking about hey, the Great Wood has had some performance
Mhm.
issues already. That is correct. This is, I think, a step worse than that because of a bunch of changes introduced. So yeah, that one's on our radar as well. Totally understand. It is feeling more and more like time for some dedicated performance focus.
Yes. Also, someone mentioned that maybe we're having echo in the stream. Is everybody getting that? And is it me or is it Michael? Does anyone know? Michael, did you turn off your audio source on your webcam?
I did on the little link I sent you. Yes, yes, I did.
Okay, no echo. It's gone now. Okay, so hopefully it stays gone. Um, if okay, perfect. I don't know why, but that works for me. I didn't do anything.
Way to
Oh,
bait
I
out
want.
that engagement, Steph. Good job. Look
Yeah,
how
yeah,
many
yeah.
chatters.
People here. You awake? Um, woohoo! That would have been better. An echo pun. Um,
Oh, echoey
listen,
room. Okay, I'll get closer to my
get
mic.
some more soft decorations in your room, Michael.
Uh,
um, But yeah, so and yeah, definitely the Great Wood has always had some performance issues, but I think things are getting a lot worse, and we're not 100% sure why or exactly what's going on. So it could be a confluence of factors like, you know, the baseline performance cost of the game has gone up due to the issues with the boats. So maybe that's why. Maybe it's some other material or texture or something has gone awry, something we added. So we're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. The Great Wood has definitely always needed performance optimization, and it's definitely on our radar. We are definitely going to be working on it. We only have so many developers on hand, and especially we don't have anyone that honestly that's like a rendering expert or something like that. So a lot of these issues honestly take us just a good chunk of time to work through. So it is something we're looking into. We're always trying to make little improvements where we can, but we're going to do a really dedicated effort at performance in this next few weeks to months. And so I really hope we'll be able to make a big improvement there. FPS killer crab issue. This one has been in the build for a long time. It took us a long time to figure out what's going on. It's like a really weird game devy type of bug. Love those. There's some debug logging that isn't even supposed to be active in production that causes a performance drop. So I hope that we will have fixed it because it's a very mysterious bug. And that change should be on our beta branch. So if you're on the beta branch and you were having performance issues when looking at the crabs in the embrace, I would love if you could go check and see if it's better on the beta branch. If you feel a little bit more stable. But definitely the big prevailing theme, the biggest probably piece of feedback we got was performance. So we are on it. We're working on it, and I hope we'll have some really fruitful updates. We also had, like I mentioned, a lot of issues with offline mode and data issues. We really put it through the ringer this patch with all of these outages, and especially it's probably a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, but we work on these issues, but these features like offline mode, and we do test it obviously offline, but there's a lot of permutations, especially with Steam versus Epic, which is what controls our multiplayer, versus being literally just organically totally offline, like your computer is unhooked, and all of those have pretty different behaviors, which is like really unfortunate. And so it really put a big stress test on our offline mode, and I think revealed a lot of probably inconsistency in the behavior, and also a lot of like just like issues that would arise, like, you know, maybe you're a player maybe that normally plays online. You don't actually want to be playing offline. But now you're forced to play offline because Steam is out, so you've like progressed this character, and now you can't like play it again because you can't select your character. So definitely we kind of originally geared offline mode around players who wanted to play offline consistently. And it doesn't work really well if you sometimes need to play offline because of service outages or something like that. So definitely it's on our radar as well to try to figure out how we can fix that or what we can do, whether that's like being able to transfer your character or maybe just like allowing you to have multiple characters on your server that you can like pick from so that you could choose which character you want to play. So they might still be separate, but like maybe more flexibility. So we're going to figure out what's going on there. But definitely that a lot of people lost a lot of character data, especially during the outages due to that. So I'm really sorry about that. But we're definitely going to try to make it better.
Thank you, FoxyNix, for the sub. I also just was laughing because I saw Geography Box and Eventual Goth talking about the complexity of game dev. And dude, it's like I've said on this stream before, like every individual game is such a like duct tape miracle that it runs. And I think people really underestimate how custom and how clobbered together every single one of these games that you play are. It's really just the reality of like every game is different, right? Like nailing that feeling, you cut every corner. You can't, well, not every corner, but you cut a lot of corners to get to that end experience. Sometimes those corners save you like the critical time that means you can even make it. Sometimes it totally comes back and bites you in the butt. And sometimes unrelated things that you would never expect affect each other. Like the debug flag that Steph is talking about. There are different versions for the shipping version of the game and the version of the game that you develop on all the time. And the version that you develop on all the time is what we playtest on. It's got a lot of like other settings enabled, lets us use cheats and all these other things. But theoretically, on paper, it's supposed to have a certain relationship with like the shipping version of the game. And then, you know, it's like an engine level bug that it somehow just breaks when you're shipping the new version. And it's like you can't find that info anywhere. It's just a handfuls of development teams running into that or something really specific on your project that fucks you over when you hit that step.
Oh my god,
So.
Sarah. I'm still waiting for the day that stalkers start flying randomly. It will happen. We hadn't gotten a report of flying enemies in a hot minute, and then last night there was this thread.
Wait,
Mines
what?
and fish gaining altitude. So maybe it's
Oh my
possible.
god.
There's no reason I think it can't happen to the stalker.
We haven't
and
seen
if
that bug
if
in
that
so
happens,
long.
I hope someone clips it because I really want to see
Yeah,
it.
please. Hi, Gankbots. Welcome to the chat. It was so long ago we had these bugs where it would just be like no context clips of just like an urchling going up into the sky, and you could just watch it for like 5 straight minutes, getting smaller and smaller in the sky. God.
Do you remember also that first time we were playtesting the glider trial, and I like went on an updraft, but the encounter ended, and I just kept going like infinitely into the sky?
Infinitely high, yes.
That was pretty fun. Yeah, any clips you have of bugs like that, definitely send them our way. We'll do our best. But yeah, and bugs always come up. So we're definitely going to be, I mean, we're always trying to like, you know, fix as many bugs as we can. But definitely we like collect the new reports, we like triage them, be like, what's most severe? And so we just did a big pass at our like bug backlog yesterday too. And yeah, beef. Oh no. we do have some improvements to the glider trial, especially a couple of the what do you call it, rings spacing are like really finicky, and one of the, it's especially I think in the reef, one of the updrafts was like really not updrafty enough, and we have some improvements to that specific glider trial. So if it's that one, I hope it'll be a little bit better in this patch in 2 weeks. But if not, or if it's something else, post your beef. We want we want the beef.
and we want clips to post on socials.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Cappuccino, thank you so much for the kind words. I assume you're a cat lover from your message, but I'm not totally sure.
Oh, that's
Thank you so
cute.
much for checking out the game. Cat and coffee. Sorry, I'm
That's
interrupting you, Steph.
yeah. How dare you? Yeah, crashes while teleporting also is definitely a bug we have in our backlog. Not sure why it's happening. I mean, it's probably just performance generally, honestly. I think a lot of the crashes people are having when they hit that one are, excuse me, out of memory crashes, which is another, we have like probably, honestly, for a game of our size, I actually don't think we have that many crashes, we have a few crashes that are frequent, especially for some people. And so like our mystery GPU crash that I still haven't fixed it. We've spent so much time trying to figure out how to fix it. But that crash is still happening. It's still pretty prevalent for people. It really sucks. This teleporter one, I think it's like secretly an out of memory crash. So our memory usage is just maybe really high, or we're like misusing memory somehow. And so that's one that we're going to be looking into. Maybe generalized performance changes will help it, but maybe they won't. But yeah, so we have a lot of different things we're tracking. But teleporter crashing is on our radar. That teleporter stopping working and having to rebuild them too I don't know what causes that bug. It's so frustrating. But that one is definitely one we've seen too, and I think we have a bug in the backlog for it. And yeah, we got a lot of feedback on cannons. We got so many types of feedback. It was actually really awesome to see everyone really excited about a lot of the features. I mean, it kind of segues me a little bit into this section, despite some of the hiccups. People were really excited about the update. They're really engaging in a lot of the features. We got a lot of really awesome, sweet, nice reviews, especially from people that have been playing a lot. Like Midnight Aether is in this chat I saw earlier. Hopefully you're still here. 85 hours? That's fucking nuts. Sorry, I shouldn't drop an F-bomb. But that's crazy. That's awesome. Thank you so much for both playing that much and also your review. And thanks everybody. Obviously, we have so many advocates in the chat that have reviewed the game and have supported us and tested for us. This is really amazing. So it's just really so cool to see. I'm allowed one F-bomb. It's just really, really so cool though to see people engaging in the features, see people be really excited, especially when we've been working on some of these for so long. It's been really awesome to see. Oh my god, Mara! That's crazy. Oh my god, look at that's crazy. Y'all are crazy. And that doesn't even count for some of you that have been playing in our alpha. That doesn't even count your alpha hours, which is even more. Honestly, it's amazing. But yeah, so it's been so cool to see it, and also so even when the feedback is like critical, like the cannons, I really wish we have some improvements to aiming. I think coming in the next patch, but I think we still have some work to do. Honestly, we have some improvements to also like accidentally, shooting yourself very easily with the cannon, but I don't think they're fully fixed. So we'll definitely be kind of improving those things. But it was really awesome to be seeing people play with the new features and giving us feedback and be excited about the future of the game. So that's been just super awesome and super rewarding. I cannot believe the hours people are posting in this chat. Oh my god. Y'all are the best. So yeah, it's just so cool. That's like, and yeah, we did have a lot of new people actually. This Fish, I don't know if Fish is in the stream, but they're a newer member of Discord. I think they came in with the winter update, I believe, or at least they joined the Discord with the winter update. And they've been posting a lot. It's been really awesome to see all of like the new players coming in and being excited and asking questions and having the community help them and post like their complete map pictures to like help guide players to like finding stuff if they're like stuck. So that's also been, it's just really cool to see like the community evolving and have people that are like now veteran Voyagers kind of helping new players as they kind of join the game. It's so wholesome. I love it.
Old Grandma Echo. The seasoned veteran bringing newbies through the game. We also had sorry. You finish. I posted the Kudo board stuff to pull up as well, because I think a lot of people have contributed, but I doubt most people have seen it.
Yeah. Also, I can't believe I was mind boggled at Miko's hours, 249 hours since launch and
Yeah.
350 hours in alpha. It's
Yeah.
only a problem if you think it's a problem.
Yay,
That's
it's bumps. It's
crazy.
584.
Oh my god. I'm at 1.5 hours, but wait, there's more. Hopefully, I hope you'll find many, many hours of enjoyment.
No pressure for it to be in the multiple hundreds.
Yeah, we'll be happy even if you play 3 hours. I'm happy you played 1.5 hours.
I know.
I hope, as long as you had fun. Oh my god, Lady Nyx, crazy. It's just so awesome that so many of our most dedicated alpha players followed us to the game launch and come to our streams. It just means a lot. It's just so awesome. But yeah,
This
we
also
had a
meant a lot.
kudos board. Yeah, this
Yeah.
was so sweet. So we had a kudos board that got sent around the end of the year time, and so many players wrote us really nice notes and really funny gifts. And we just really appreciated reading what people felt and how much the game has impacted you. And it's honestly also really rewarding too that to hear how much it matters that that we talk to you and how we engage in the Discord. Honestly, I think we try really hard to be present and make sure that you feel heard, and it takes a lot of time and effort. And you don't always quite know if it's making a difference. You don't know if the thing you're saying is meaningful, if people feel acknowledged and heard. But it's definitely come out a lot in this kudo board and in your Steam reviews and in your Discord comments and stuff that hey, it does matter, and that means so much because that's the whole reason to do it.
Yeah, it was really sweet to get this message, especially because, man, we've just been so heads down on this update that it's just blinders. Honestly, yeah, I knew you'd like.
I love this one. It's so funny. Oh, it's from Santos.
But no, it was a really nice reminder of people actually just enjoying what we're working, which is the dream.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is cute too. And there's pictures of our game in here. Yeah. That's so cute.
Really nice message for the team.
Yeah, really amazing. Blink, blink.
But all this feedback was summing up to some categories of things that I think Steph has been obsessive about, and trying to group together into some of the work that we got to do next.
Yes. We'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff in the upcoming patch, and then I'll talk briefly also about some of what's next. And just to be super transparent, because I don't want to be and we're shipping a whole new roadmap today. That is not what we're doing today. That's not what we're ready yet to communicate. Though I do want to talk about some of the things we definitely plan to do, some of the things we really want to do. So just to set your expectations, we'll get a little dip into what's coming. But we're definitely working on kind of solidifying these plans with the team, creating a new roadmap that we can share with you. So set your expectations moderate, but hopefully you'll be excited about the things we're excited about too. And anything that we say we will do is subject to changes, because as we go and figure out how to actually do it, as we talked about game dev, it can be really complicated. So things may change, but we'll try to do as many things as we can. So in this mid-January patch, this was actually, we worked on this before we left for the break. So we shipped our December patch, and then in that remaining kind of 2-week window before we left to have some well-deserved team time off, we worked on as many bug fixes and quality of life improvements and other things as we could. And so we we have a couple of, I think, highlightable fixes, but there's a lot more that's actually in that patch, but I just wanted to pluck out some of the ones that I know have been really frustrating for people. So bow ammo should auto-swap when the stack is depleted now. This was a bug. It used to work, stopped working. Hopefully now it's going to work again. Your UI should always return to the right state after exiting the cannon. Sometimes people's hotbars were disappearing. Sometimes your ammo counter was disappearing. So lots of kind of weird stuff. You can no longer delete the cannon while it has ammo in it. So no more losing your ammo if you forget that it was loaded and you try to move it. It will give you an error message like the chests do. Fix for various things being unable to be crafted from storage, especially boat pieces. Though there's some other ones we fixed too. And I'll already spoiler for you, there's a few more pieces we figured out that we didn't fix yet, and they'll be fixed in another future patch. if you're curious, it's due to the collision settings on the building piece. So if they're like not configured correctly, the radius of the spirit anchor can't detect that they're in it, and so it's like, I don't know where you're trying to craft this, but it's not near the chests. Pretty fun. That's a peak game dev bug, I feel like.
Yeah.
But so we'll keep fixing these up. So hopefully everything will be able to be crafted from storage, but definitely like sails and I think outriggers, and the sailing stone will be fixed, and some more fixes will come in a next patch. Players cannot become invisible anymore when firing themselves from cannons on sinking boats. So if you had that bug, sorry. And you shouldn't have it anymore. Hopefully fix the crab performance issue, please. I really hope this fix works.
Yeah.
This one's really tough for us because I think we don't experience the same amount of performance degradation as y'all do, or some people do. I think even not all players experience the same amount of degradation, so I'm not sure quite why. But I really hope that this fix works. We fixed a lot of our top crashes, so not the out of memory and GP ones like I mentioned, but we had some other various crashes like in the character creator and like on certain spawning tables. So we fixed some of our other most frequent crashes. So hopefully the game will be a little bit more stable. What was the problem with the crabs? So the kind of quick explanation is that there's some like error logging for the crabs for their like animation rig. It doesn't really result in a bug as far as we know, but it just like something is misconfigured and the game doesn't like it, so it spams the log with like, this thing is wrong, this thing is wrong, this thing is wrong. And we thought our understanding is that logging does not occur on our public build, and it should not have an impact, but it actually doesn't write to your log, but it does still occur. So like the game still processes it and uses like the CPU or whatever resource to like make the logging event, and then it just doesn't go anywhere, which is unfortunate. So it's a very like weird developer facing type of bug fix.
Is being diplomatic. It's real dumb.
Yeah, it is real dumb. And this is actually the reason we found this one is because it's actually our second instance of a performance issue caused by a logging issue where logging is not supposed to be active on that build. So the issue we had a while ago where when you would use like a crafting bench, if you had a lot of like shared storage boxes in your, I think actually Mara reported this one very quickly in the other patch, where if you were like trying to navigate like the crafting menu, it would be super, super slow. That was also due to a logging spam issue. So we're learning a lot. And so I really hope this one is fixed.
Geography. I appreciate your explanation. Steph's superpower, although she is the producer for the team, is to know how everything fits together. And that has been true of our time together at Riot, working on League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics as well. So she continues to use her superpower here in knowing how all of the things connect together.
My favorite thing is to just know many things. Approximate knowledge of many things. Oh, someone said, I find it annoying that when sometimes I set up a sleeping bag on the boat, I can't open the camp anymore. Maybe, do you mean the storage? Or something else?
Oh, maybe they're literally stacked on each other.
Yeah, I would love to get more info about what you're doing and seeing and what it's resulting in. So if you're on our Discord, it would be really great if you post a thread. And then we fixed some issues with bow aiming and the camera control on controller, and we fixed a couple of other little like quality of life issues with like the controller as well. For controller players, just to call it out explicitly, I didn't have it in the other section. I almost added it, but I ran out of time. We did and have been getting a lot of controller feedback as well, especially like with certain mappings being like entirely missing, like they're present on keyboard but not on controller, or some things that are like secretly hard coded that probably eluded our grasp a bit. Like the we did some updates for like the boat and other things so that they would like follow the WASD mapping, but we didn't do that for the cannon, and so there's some issues with like some mapping across keyboard and controller for those, and so we're still working on some of those issues as they come up, but excuse me, but we're trying to fix as many controller issues as we can. So controller keys will now be rebindable in game. There are still some bugs I will mention, so you may sometimes see it fail to bind a key for the key or for the controller. Sorry, and you will still see some things are not available to be mapped on the controller, but you can remap them now, which is at least an improvement, I hope. The emote wheel is now usable on the controller, so we were able to find that one. And we got both, actually, the ammo wheel and the emote wheel working a little bit more, like, reliably on the controller, too. So hopefully it'll be, like, a little bit easier to, like, actually, like, open those wheels and, like, use them and navigate them with the stick. Because I think before it would, like, make your camera go kind of crazy. UI improvements to the Spirit Companion path menus. We actually had this at the dev stream for it, but it didn't make it into that patch. So you'll finally get some of these UI improvements. So it'll actually have like descriptions of each of the the paths. So you can kind of get a better overview of like what the play style of that path is, and just some like little like UI polish tweaks. So it should be like a little cuter looking. Dedicated server players. I think not many people have had this issue, but enough have that we decided we needed to fix it. Sometimes you can set up your server and it won't have write permissions, and it won't tell you, and it will just run the server and you'll play and you'll lose all your data at the end and you'll be super duper duper sad. And obviously, as a dedicated server, because they stay up for a long time, that can mean a lot of data loss. So now, instead of silently failing, your dedicated server will now show an error when it cannot write the save data. So you will hopefully never be able to get into a state where your dedicated server can't actually write save data and it goes anyway. Certain buildables will now show an arrow to indicate their facing direction while building them. I think this is mostly the sailing ones right now, so like the sail itself and the sailing stone. But we were able to build this in a pretty flexible way, so if there's other building pieces that you would like this arrow on, let us know. We can definitely add it. And now you can name the storage on the boat, which is kind of like a fun way to like maybe secretly name your boat. But there is a storage box on the boat and you can name it. And it should persist and everything too. So those are some of the improvements. And then we'll have a full list of the bug fixes and all of the like line by line improvements with the patch notes when we post them. But these are just some of the ones I thought would be the most fun to highlight, the ones that you might be the most excited about. Is there anything you wanted to read from chat, Michael, or add?
Nope, not a thing. I was just giving a sad OMG to someone who lost 20 levels of progress. Melly 60.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Brutal.
Ooh. And then we do actually have also some, I think, I'm trying to remember if it's in this patch or next patch. Might be in the next patch. We do have some more fixes coming to save data, generally. And so we're going to keep trying to improve the reliability of save data over time, trying to make sure that all of our data conforms to the way that the save data needs to, so that it's like more reliable. So we're definitely working on save fixes all the time as issues comes up. And we're always trying to make these incremental improvements and see what happens. So definitely it's on our radar. And then, so that's what's coming up soon, like about 2 weeks from now. We plan to have more patches, ideally, and we're going to try to at least do a patch in about March to April timeframe is our current thinking for our first like non-bug fix patch coming up. And so right now the team is in what we call like a planning mode. We're kind of going over all of and we kind of are reevaluating everything we had planned too. So obviously we went into early access having some feelings like, oh, we want to add this feature or that feature or some other feature. But as we go through the actual early access process and we get feedback and feature requests and all of these like things that we didn't think of when we launched the game, we want to actually like make sure to incorporate that, because that's like the whole point of doing an early access game is we want to learn what would actually be the most impactful thing to the game. What does the community want? What can we make that will make the best version of the game for our players? And so we're kind of doing a big reevaluation where I've collected all of the survey data. So thanks to everybody for filling out our product surveys. That's really, really, really helpful. I collected data from like the Steam reviews, from our forums, from our feature upvote board. Also, thanks to everybody for upvoting and posting there. Because I know there's a little bit of a higher barrier to entry to that one. But it's been really helpful to see what people want and like what's getting the most traction. And this is like very developer-y, so just to be clear. And we could always do a deep dive if people find this kind of content interesting. I didn't put too much like I don't know, producery content in this. I'll try to zoom in. I mean, the content's not super important in that way because we're still kind of like working through what it means. But typically as a team, and especially like I wanted to, kind of have a lot of different ways to evaluate. We have like a lot of feedback. And like we've mentioned probably so many times, we have a pretty small team. And so we have to really be discerning about what we pick and what we can work on because we want to make the best things, but we can't make all the things. And so typically we evaluate these on lots of different criterias, and we have some priorities for our 1.0, for example, that we want to like make sure that come true. Like we want to hit a 50 hours minimum game. I know some people, as we saw in the chat, have a crazy amount of hours, but I don't think there's that much content for you. I think you're making your own content, loving the game, replaying the same content, but we want to have a floor of about 50 hours of base gameplay content. So that, for example, you'll see this label. It's probably a little blurry. I'm sorry. The picture couldn't be much bigger. Where I've been like, cool, that's one of our goals. And these different pieces of work, I kind of tagged them with like, I think this one helps fulfill this goal. Fundamental player expectation is this red one, actually. So, there's kind of this bucket where I was like, hey, players really expect this to be in the game. Maybe we didn't originally. And so I want to honor the fact that, people really expect, like we had a miscalibration between like what's expected to be in the game and what's not. Hey, don't move my thing.
Sorry, I was trying to make it bigger for you.
So that's an example of another one. Or like new places to explore. We want to add new places to see, new resources to get, etc. So this is kind of somewhat like a little peek behind the curtain for a very developer-y part of like sometimes how we will prioritize or how we'll talk about like why is it valuable to work on this thing. And then often we kind of like prioritize those too. So like this is so corpo cringe. But these are things that are table stakes are like required. So like when we say table stakes, it's like literally like if you're a survival crafting game, you have to have this thing, no brainer kind of thing. That's what we mean by like a table stake. It's like an inherent built-in assumption about what is needed in the game. Or like, and so that's P0, we're like, we have to do this. It's like mandatory. P1 is like, these are things that we think are high value. They align well with like things that we want to improve about the game, whether it's like game design or product needs or whatever. So that's kind of, and then we kind of like, go down the list. So we categorize like, why is this valuable? How valuable is it relative to other things? And that's just like a lot of the way that game developers typically go through work and kind of like work through these problems. There's definitely some highlights. I think we're not ready, especially to promise exactly how these systems will manifest and at this point, because there's some like, wiggle room in terms of like, for example, I see some people and we're like farming. I think we would actually really like to add farming specifically, but we've also talked about what does resource generation look like when it's more integrated into like the spirits. So like, what if you're like going into your base and you're like giving little offerings to the spirits at their different amenities, and like maybe the spirit amenities could be more functional. So like maybe at the feasting table where those little spirits are like eating those little like luma fruits, you could like fill the bowl for them actually instead of them are just like kind of like cosmetically eating, and then they could generate like cooked food items for you or something like that. So there's like lots of different like interpretations of what it means to like generate resources in the base, and probably some people remember actually that we like used to have just these stations that you could like put, I forget what you put into them, like different resources or something, and they would like produce wind strands and they would produce like fire strands and stuff like that. So there's so many ways that we can kind of take those systems. So as soon as we know, though, I think we'll share some info with you because I think we'd love to see what people are excited about. But that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're doing right now, though. We're like, hey, we know resource generation is a problem or a thing we want. We know base management. We want more things for people to be able to do in their base. We know players want farming. Does it make sense to just like make a traditional farming system? Does it make sense to try to innovate and do something like really specific to our game? Does it make sense to do both? So that's kind of like what we're going through. So yeah, some highlights. I think we're definitely looking into some type of deeper base management, some way to generate and tend to your base more. We're definitely looking at a. We've talked a lot about the new biome, but we're definitely looking at biome 4. It's going to be it's called the Sand Sea. It's more like volcanic, ashy, lizardy monsters kind of vibe. So hopefully that'll be really fun. There's some like really silly ones that probably sound stupid when you like read them on this page. I feel stupid writing them sometimes, but it's like we need to make sure as a team, like literally like a table stakes piece of work is like actually just make sure all the spirit companion traits that you guys have noticed that you can't level up past a certain amount in the tree currently. We need to finish those abilities and make sure you can earn the tokens in the world and level them up. So that's kind of a good example, I think, of something that's like table stakes. We like literally have to do it or the game is incomplete. Or we have to like fill the missing content in the knowledge tree. We want to
Maybe
add.
some of the.
Mm-hmm,
Oh, go
mm-hmm.
on.
I was gonna say
Go
we
on.
want to
Finish up.
add like major underwater content too. We really want to expand what's under there. Maybe like little hidden ruins or swim puzzles and oxygen bubbles and stuff like that. So that's like a kind of big way we're trying to expand the content. More enemies and creature types, which is we've heard a lot about. More just encounter types. We added a lot of encounter types with like the like bow challenge and like the glider challenge and skimmer challenge. One or two more of those types of things, or maybe even like more combat focused ones that could like make a better twist on combat. Definitely some stuff we're interested in. Michael, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, this is like a peek, I guess, into the less glamorous side of game development. But really,
Mm-hmm.
the underlying purpose of it is alignment, because we're talking about hundreds or thousands of pieces of feedback that kind of pull in different directions,
Mm-hmm.
trying to group them into something that then multiple developers who could solve this a ton of different ways. How do both groups get very aligned on like the actual thing that we're going to do to be like, oh yeah, we really think that this is going to address this chunk of the feedback that we think is most critical.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it is kind of corporate, I guess, of just being like it's the sticky notes on a whiteboard just in a digital form.
Yeah. It's okay to be corpo cringe sometimes. But yeah, so that's a lot of what we're going through. And we're like, and some of these, like I mentioned, there's potential like various directions too. So like right now, what we're doing with the team is we're like taking a bunch of these areas and being like, hey, base management is falling short. Why do we think that is? What purpose does base building have in our game? Does it have not that much actually, which is I think kind of where we landed, and like how can we give it more purpose, like make you want to build a base versus like right now I think the hyper engaged builders build bases, which is awesome. I think it's great that like our building system is like really fun to like creatively build, but we also want people to like want to build and feel like it's like useful to build too, and we don't think we're quite hitting that. So yeah, there's like a lot of kind of like brainstorming that the team is doing right now and trying to figure out what kind of ideas like fit together, what things are gonna like plus one each other. Yeah, someone also actually, and earlier in the chat, people were like, "What if the bulldog gave you something back?" We've gotten that feedback a lot. I've definitely been advocating for us to make it poop. I really want the bulldog to poop. And so if we have farming 100%, I think the bulldog is gonna poop.
Okay, great.
It's
Let's go make
important.
a shit mesh.
It'll be cute.
uh,
Momoko Peach just commented in chat. I think it would be really awesome for you to have some kind of journal for all the text in the game that you could read it in the correct order. We definitely want to do that. We've talked about that so much. So actually, this is just P1, P0, and P1. We have like P0 through P4 in a big chart with like a bunch of game features too. So this is a very small slice. I just didn't want to, I wasn't ready to like full send all of the potential ideas. So this is just a slice of what we've been talking about. But yeah, the codex is really high on our list, especially if it could include not just lore, but like maybe it could be a vehicle for like details about enemies and how you fight them or their special mechanics, or even just like lore that we have about them that we like don't really have a good vehicle to share. And so we're really, really excited about things like that. The codex is pretty high on all of our want list. Weather is pretty high on our list, and something we're even like experimenting with some plugins in Unreal right now to see if we can get like a really flexible system implemented. So like weather is for sure one that's really high on our list that I know people would be really excited about. Combat improvements, this one came up a lot. We're still getting a lot of feedback about just like the stiffness or game feel So we want to improve combat still. Is there potential for waves? Probably not. Maybe some like only cosmetic visual only waves, I would say. We did spike into what waves would be like about maybe 6 months to a year ago at this point. But it's unfortunately really expensive, and definitely has a high performance cost. And I think it's just not something we feel comfortable trying to push to get in. I think maybe if it's visual only, but then kind of it has to be subtle, because if I don't know, the waves are being like crazy, but like your boat's not moving, it's gonna feel weird. So I mean, it's something I think we'd want if all things were equal and free, but it's a little risky, and so that one's probably just not on the list right now. Also, yeah, the big asterisk, nothing we add can tank performance. So that's definitely our goal. And as we're like going through these things, we're going to be evaluating things to make sure we're not, we want to add a lot of cool stuff, but we don't want to risk either the stability of the game. And that's always a hard balance. And as we saw, we thought we didn't do that with this last update, but clearly we did. So, we're always trying to be cognizant of that. First time chat from Ramiz. You're in our Discord. Welcome. Any chance for cinematic story scenes? Also, yeah, I guess we're just probably in full Q&A mode at this point.
Yes.
So feel free to ask anything. And if we missed a question earlier while we were just like chatting, please feel free to re-ask it. Any chance for cinematic story scenes at some point, maybe to mark certain milestones? We have talked about this. I think we'll probably have to be pretty light with it in terms of like, I don't think you'll see voice acting for sure, for example, or like really detailed like character acting. But we have talked about like, can there be like more like ceremony and fanfare, especially the big moments like when you get the Elder Shard from the construct. We've gotten some feedback that these feel a little monotonous, and I think that's true. But probably they would feel a little bit better if you like, had a little scene play where he like handed it to you and you like watched it like float into the sky and then like saw it like beam across to the shrine, or like you even saw it get placed in the shrine. So there's a lot of like opportunity for us to like take kind of important moments and plus them up. So that's definitely something we're interested in trying to do. Are there plans to utilize wind direction? Sorry, Michael, did you want to say something?
Oh, just to add to that, I think the big like the intro little cutscene is a good example of trying to add some gravitas to, I think, good effect. But the way we would have to execute any of these would have to be like, hey, this works in a multiplayer setting too. And like I think it probably would be pretty jarring to have like a whole cutscene in most places. I think that relates to actually some of the voice acting questions that I see are coming up right now. We're probably not going to have voice acting for the notes and things around, partly because of scope and execution. Like being good enough gets a lot harder when it starts to be like, as a small team, figuring out like a great Russian voice actor or something for this is like a whole other level of cost and like quality of execution that probably doesn't make sense for us to take on.
Yes. Oh yeah, so the one wind direction. We've talked about it in the past. It hasn't come up in a bit, and I think our boat stuff is kind of like stabilizing, I think, a little bit too, and it does get pretty complicated with like how realistic it might have to be with like multiple sails and like other stuff like that. We have talked about like maybe the weather system could add some kind of like minor gameplay to some systems like that. So like maybe on a windy day, you and your boat move faster versus like doing like really realistic wind simulation. It's not off the table. We definitely have wanted it in the past, but hasn't currently come up, I think, in terms of like when we're prioritizing some of this recent work. Any chance of one of the future biomes taking us to where the deep actually comes from? That's my pitch currently, actually, for one of them. So we'll see if that's the one that gets greenlit, or I think we've talked about also like some. What if we had these like special portals that you could go through that would like give you like a really specific like teleport you to a part of the map that you can't normally get to that has like a specific cool piece of content, like an encounter with the deep or something like that. So definitely, I think and hope we'll see a little bit more from the deep in some of the updates. some of us have talked about how great it would be if there was a big cinematic ending where all the characters like Cassian or etc. were in it. Show us what happened to all of them. I do know what you mean. We've talked also a lot about like, are there ways to like incorporate our current NPCs? Kind of like, because we have these like invisible in the background NPCs that show up in like the lore, but they're not actually like in the game. NPCs are another content category, kind of like Michael mentioned, that are pretty expensive for a small team to make. Though we've also talked about like maybe there's like scrappy or affordable ways that we could make them. And I think it would be really fun to see these characters in the world, or like learn more about what happened to them. Some ideas or pitches from the team also are like, what if the final boss fight is Eris? So I think there's a lot of interest from us too, and having these characters actually show up and be like more relevant.
I'll be the one sliding in, just being like, this grave site isn't that so easy to execute?
I mean, we have literally talked about like, what if it's like we take our player character like cosmetics, we like make a character in there, we like save it, and then we like put a ghost material on it. So I mean, I hope that, obviously it would be really cool if we could like spend a lot of time making these like very special looking versions of these characters too, which we would love to do if we had time. And so maybe that will happen and maybe it won't. We'll kind of just see how that like develops, but I think we'd love to find some way to get them into the game, because I think that would be really fun. Is there scope for the Spires to propose different challenges per area? That's really interesting, actually, and we haven't talked about that. We have talked about revisiting kind of the Spires and like what they do, because right now I think they kind of serve their gameplay purpose as like a, hey, here's a big objective to knock down, like you need to do this thing to make world a little bit better. But they don't really like feel like they make the world that bad either. They don't really feel like they they kind of just feel like an object that you go knock down, not like something you really want to and are intrinsically motivated to like remove. So I think we definitely want to revisit kind of like how they function and like how that manifests. And I think if you have ideas for like that, I would love to hear those. So if you're in our Discord or on the Steam forums or feature upvote, wherever, I would love to hear what you think would be cool for different Spires to do in different zones. Improving the sailing experience. I would love to hear more about what you want out of that. Oh my god, I'm not gonna pronounce it here. Foresterolve. Thank you for the first time chat. I'm so sorry for whatever I did to your name. Sorry, there's so many chats. Any chance you'll expand building? We want to. It depends on exactly what you mean. We definitely want to add more pieces. I think with the biome, especially, there'll be like more pieces, more decorations. We've also talked about like, could we like let you build more things from the environment kit? So like, could you get a set of like building pieces that we normally make the ruins out of and like use those in your base? Could you get corals from like the reef and like build those in your base, or trees or other things like that. And then we've also talked about, what does the next building kit look like? We really want to add another building kit. We specifically really want to add the round building kit, though it's been a big math challenge, and so we've been hitting some roadblocks with that thus far, but we're working on it. But so we really hope that we'll expand building in some way, but I probably don't have as much information as I'd like to on exactly how it'll suss out yet. The Cindertail plushie will be coming, though. We have that one. It will be there. Will the corruption ever come back once cleared, or could this be a toggle setting? So we did actually talk about what it would look like, or it might be like a cool tie-in to how it impacts like the biome. In that like maybe the corruption actually like respawns all the time until you have, obviously it would need to be rebalanced for this too, just to be clear, but maybe like corruption or like smaller corruption spires like will respawn if you haven't like rescued the elder spirit yet, because our kind of like narrative for rescuing the elder spirit is it like kind of like is like stabilizing and bringing back like a strong magical force into the biomes. So that might be a really cool way to do something like that. A toggle is really interesting too. I'm surprised that people want them to respawn, so I think that would be really interesting to hear too. If you have an idea for that, I'd love you to start a thread in Discord about that, or on the feature upvote board. Okay, I'm gonna take a few more questions because we're a little bit over, but I know we had a lot. Are there any plans to speed up production and speed on the lumber table? Definitely leave feedback on it. I know you have before, but I would maybe just repost it or rebump it, because we are looking at that kind of stuff right now. with some economy balance changes.
Yeah, I guess there's a bit of balance on that one of how much we want industry of like making multiple, if that
Mm-hmm.
actually feels like interesting progression or not.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes. Oh, maybe have our beds give us a buff. We've talked about this a lot too. I don't know if we'll end up pursuing it or not, but rest buffs and having rest buffs kind of change based off of like your sanctuary power or how many amenities you have built or what types of amenities and other things like that. We've definitely talked about that. I think we'd be really interested to do a system like that. And just be able to like rest in the bed other than just sleep overnight. It really bothers me that we can't just sit in the goddamn bed. Um Maybe the spirits could
I
work the tables to make things faster. We had a version of that a long time ago. We have talked about that too. It's not off the table. Sorry, Michael.
um I saw a combat difficulty. Uh,
I think you're cutting out for me. I don't know if it's just me or if it's you.
oh, I just saw you talking for a bit, and it was decent. I might be decent.
Michael is
Combat
being eaten
difficulty.
by the Matrix. Combat difficulty. That is what I heard. Someone asked about combat difficulty. I don't because Michael is getting lost. I don't know exactly what the question was. But in terms of combat difficulty generally, I mean, hopefully the person asking this is one of the people that thinks combat is too easy. We have a tendency to think combat might be a little easy right now at its baseline difficulty. However, we also think that we could offer much better hooks into adjusting the difficulty for yourself. So right now we have some really basic ones like player damage multiplier and enemy damage multiplier. But I think we could actually both offer more individual settings so you could tweak more things like enemy health or your own health or other things like that. But also, I would really be interested to offer like presets. Like here's a cozy mode. So if you're just like looking the vibe, here's the one. Yeah, I think just to be clear, Lady Nix, if we do increase the difficulty at all, it will come with settings, I would think. We don't really want to increase the baseline difficulty without offering more clear settings so that you could tune it a little bit more like upfront versus like kind of getting surprised by that. And so yeah, I think we'd want to add like a super cozy mode where probably the damage is hella low. Maybe gathering rate and other stuff is like really up. So if you just want to like vibe, you can go do that. Maybe like an easy mode, so it's like a little toned down. A normal mode where maybe we would. So probably people right now, I think the current difficulty would be easy mode, or like a casual mode or something. I don't know what we'd call it. And then we'd probably up the normal to be a little bit harder, but not too much harder, I think. And then we would have like a harder or hardcore type of mode. And then I think still within that, hopefully you could like tune the different sliders as well if you want something kind of in between those. And so I think definitely we want to do that. It's on our list. We almost got it in for the November patch actually, or sorry for the December patch, but we didn't quite land it. So I hope we'll be able to deliver something like that. And it sounds like that is what they meant. When will
I
you
think
see
so.
the Elder Fire Spirit with the next biome? So that'll be in the Sand Sea. Awesome. I think though we're pretty over, and we got to get back to planning some of these really awesome things. So I think that is probably gonna end at least the Q&A portion of our stream. Michael, is there anything
That's
you want
it.
to
That's
close the
no.
stream
That's
with?
the last thing of stream. That's the end of stream.
Woo! You know, I was really worried. I was like, man, I feel like I don't know if we have enough content for the stream. But I guess we did. With our awesome community, we always have enough questions and feedback and content. Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm not sure you can, but
Yeah,
thank
we
you guys
can.
so
We
much.
can.
Okay, tight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy New Year to everybody. Since we a lot more folks have joined. Thank you so much for the support, for checking out all the latest updates, and for sharing so much feedback with us. Really appreciate it. Steph, you want to take us home?
Yeah,
Share
we're
our
gonna.
parting message.
Oh, a parting message. Okay. Pressure.
I don't know.
No, but no, yeah, really
Whatever.
thank you everybody for tuning in, for all of your feedback, for playing our last patch. I hope you're looking forward, at least even if it's a smaller quality of life or bug fix patch. I hope you're looking forward to the one in 2 weeks. And then I really hope we'll have some really awesome news soon to share about what's going to come in that March to April ranged patch. So I'm really excited for us to be able to share back with you the updated roadmap and what's going to happen. And yeah, thanks just so much for all of your support. It really means the world to us. And so we're going to find someone to raid out to. And I've never actually done this. So cool.
I think
Does this
types
work?
raid.
Raid browser. Oh, and then we can pick someone.
Uh,
Okay. You're not a human anymore again. So we are gonna raid Anissa May. I think if this works. Okay, yes. It is working, I think. They are playing Voyagers right now, so let's go give them some love. Thanks everybody. I'm gonna hit start raid. I don't know what happens after that. I'm scared. And we will see you next time. Where's the ending soon? I think. Come on. Hmm?
Oh, yeah, it's okay. It says you're